Most people learn the word gaslighting, and immediately, unknowingly, it reinforces them actually being the victim who is right about others being the evildoers. And suddenly every old conversation gets pulled into evidence. Every weird feeling becomes proof. Every confusing interaction gets replayed in slow motion like a crime documentary. Knowing what gaslighting is does not set you free from it. Quite the opposite. So, in this video, I will start with the typical explanation, and then we'll go deeper into seeing the real meaning. And once you see that, you cannot unsay it, and it will actually set you free. So, gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your own perception so they don't have to take responsibility for what happened. For example, you say, "That hurt me," and they say, "You're too sensitive." Or you say, "You said this," and they say, "No, you didn't. You always twist things." You say, "Something feels off." They say, "This is why I can't talk about you." And suddenly the original issue disappears. Now you are the problem, and now the conversation is about your reaction, your tone, your memory, your emotional state, or your pattern, your supposed inability to understand things correctly. Basically, you are the problem. And it is not just lying. It is not just disagreeing. It is when someone shifts the focus from what happened to your ability to know what happened. That's why it feels so disorienting. You enter the conversation with one clear point or a question, and 10 minutes later, you are defining your sanity like you accidentally walked into a courtroom with no shoes on. And here is where it gets important. Yes, it helps to know the word. That is gaslighting, the normal definition of it. But I will share with you the definition that will actually set you free. Because there is a trap here, and almost nobody talks about it. The trap is that once we learn the word, we can start using it to decorate the victim position. We finally get the satisfaction of saying, "I was gaslighted," or "You're gaslighting me." Then we complain to a friend, "He uses gaslighting on me." And there can be a strange comfort in that. Not because the experience was good, obviously, but because the label can give us a clean identity. I was the one who was manipulated. I was the wronged one. And that may be true, but if we stop here, we are still sitting in the same victim chair. We have named the prison, but we have not walked out. We have polished the bars and written a very accurate caption underneath them. The real freedom does not come from proving that someone gaslighted you. The real freedom comes from the definition that is below the surface. What it really means for you. You, not as the victim, but the real you, the powerful being. That is the definition most people in the victim role do not want, because it sounds like blame if you hear it from the old victim place. But it is not blame. It is the door. So listen carefully. If someone could repeatedly make you doubt what you saw, what you felt, what you knew, what you remembered, or what you wanted, then the most important question is not only what is wrong with them. The question is just too small. The stronger question is, why are you still engaging? Because gaslighting does not just reveal another person's manipulation. It reveals the exact place where you still believe you are both standing on the same ground. And that is why it hurts so much. It does not only hurt because they lied. People lie all the time. Humanity is basically a nervous system on chicken legs, pretending it has never done anything embarrassing. The deeper pain is that somewhere in the dynamic, you handed them the authority to edit your reality. You saw something clearly, then they told you that you are confused, and instead of saying, interesting, we disagree, but I still know what I saw, you entered the swamp. You began explaining, you began proving, you began trying to get them to admit it. You began arguing with someone who was already benefiting from your confusion. So, what does gaslighting really mean? It is free labor to protect their lie. So let me explain it. Their goal is to destabilize you. They need your, wait, what? To shift the blame onto you. The more triggered you become, the more you lose your clear discernment. And they need this. They hire you the second you enter the fog. Because you entering the fog means they don't have to confront their bullshit. Now, we are focused on you being in a fog, and they make it your fault. Gaslighting is basically free labor to protect their lie. They are invested in keeping you in anxiety, overthinking, stomach knots, life shattered in pieces. Now you swallow all that emotional pain, thinking maybe it's you because you should be calmer and explain it better, while they get to avoid dealing with their bullshit completely. So this is where gaslighting becomes such a perfect little hell machine. The more you try to prove your reality to someone committed to distorting it, the more unusable you feel. You come in with one clear sentence and leave with 17 tabs open in your brain and stomach ache and a strange desire to apologize for even having eyes. You are not only being lied to, you are being recruited into making the lie more important than your own direct knowing. And you are doing this labor for them for free. Because, let me say this clearly, as long as you are doing this labor for them, they don't have to do it. They don't have to feel the emotional pain, the guilt, shame, or overthink for hours and days, because you are doing it for them, for free. And once you see that, the whole thing becomes less mystical. Still painful, but less mystical. Gaslighting is not some dark wizard spell cast by a person with a cape and a personality disorder podcast history. It is someone just refusing to meet reality cleanly, and you trying to drag them into reality because you think they want to see it clearly too. No, they do not. This is the part that can actually set you free. The gaslighter is not teaching you to defeat them or teach them. They are trained ground for discernment. They are the most annoying, poorly dressed spiritual gym equipment life could possibly send. And every denial, every twist, every you are overreacting, every that never happened, and you always do this, every slippery little sentence is an invitation to leave that unpaid hell job, to stop abandoning your own perception for the comfort of agreement. And there is a reason why you keep taking that job again and again, and it is not easy to hear. Because a person can only keep pulling you into distortion if some part of you still believes the relationship must continue even when reality is not being honored. That is the deeper issue. Not whether they say the perfect repair sentence, not whether they finally understand. The deeper issue is whether you are willing to stay in a relationship where reality cannot be shared. That is what gaslighting exposes. It exposes where you are still willing to trade inner clarity for relational access. It exposes where being chosen still matters more than being alone but sane. And it exposes where you keep asking someone who benefits from your confusion to become the source of your safety. Again, not blame, just precision. And also that is where the power is. This is why giving a surface definition is only the beginning. The lesson is not how do I make this person stop gaslighting me. The lesson is how quickly do I return to my own business when someone tries to hire me for a hell job for free. And when you know yourself, you can feel the difference. You can feel the difference between someone saying, I experienced that differently, can we talk? And someone saying, you're crazy, that never happened. If you always overthink about your relationship or lack of it, maybe it's time to change your story. And in my book, The End of Your Story, I give you the exact template to jump out of the role you've been playing that keeps you anxious or shrinking for others. Find it in the description of this video. And then you can feel the difference between a person who wants contact and a person who's depending on your mental overwork. And once you can feel the difference without immediately betraying it, life changes. You stop being so easy to recruit into confusion. You stop explaining yourself to people who are not listening and who do not want to listen. And you stop confusing intensity with intimacy. That is the part that actually sets you free. Not, I was gaslighted, therefore I am damaged. Or not, I was gaslighted, therefore I can never trust anyone. Or no, or not, I was gaslighted, therefore I must just become a full-time investigator of everyone's motives. No, I was gaslighted and I saw exactly where I was still doing the unpaid hella labor for others. And now I do not need to keep learning it the slow, humiliating way. And then you do the thing that breaks the spell. You don't apply for that bullshit contract. You let your perception be enough information. You let their refusal to repair be enough information. And you let the absence of symmetry be enough information. And that is when gaslighting stops being the story of how someone is damaging you. It becomes the moment you stop working unpaid overtime in someone else's circus, where the clown is not even that impressive.